chaos and confusion. The central government could not mediate the issues between states, and disputes over state boundaries, taxation, and international trade began to push the government to its limit. The United States was less than a decade old and was already facing an economic and political disaster. One of the major indicators that change needed to be made occurred in fall 1786, when the economic situation began leading to mass foreclosures and bankruptcies. In Massachusetts, Revolutionary War veteran Daniel Shays led a rebellion of some 1,200 other veterans who had not been paid for their service nor had received a pension, and occupied the Massachusetts Supreme Court in Springfield, thereby denying the Massachusetts government the ability to foreclose on any property. They attacked the new federal arsenal at Springfield, but were unsuccessful in taking possession of the grounds. Fighting began to occur all over the state as the rebellion spread. Fortunately, the Massachusetts militia defeated the rebels, scattering them and putting an end to the fighting. It was clear the Articles of Confederation limited the federal government's ability to handle domestic issues, as well as foreign policy issues. The Treaty of Paris, which had ended the revolution, made stipulations that debts owed by Americans to British subjects would still need to be honored, and that loyalists would still be able to bring suits to United States courts for the return of their confiscated property. As each state was liable for ensuring these terms were met, there were discrepancies across the country, as some enforced these terms better than others. The result was British troops still occupying forts and territory which now technically belonged to the United States, as the terms of the treaty had not been met. With no authority to mediate or command the states to adhere to the treaty, the federal government could do nothing. With few options, a convention was called by several states in order to make amendments to the Articles. In May 1787, the Constitutional Convention convened in Philadelphia and began debating the Articles of Confederation and what would be required to alter them. It was immediately clear that the Articles did not work. But what form of government would? A fundamentally new design was proposed and hotly debated. As would become the hallmark of American politics, several compromises were met to achieve the balance the states required to ratify this new form of government. This new constitution would form a government of checks and balances, with three distinct branches dividing the federal authority between them. The legislative branch, or the Congress, would be divided into two houses: the House of Representatives, composed of state representatives comparable to the population of each state, and the Senate, composed of two representatives from each state. This branch has the power to create and vote on laws, enact taxes, declare war, override presidential vetoes, create federal courts, except for the Supreme Court, and sets the number of justices on the Supreme Court. Independently, the Senate has the power to confirm presidential appointments to the judiciary, heads of departments and other federal offices, ratify treaties with foreign powers, remove impeached officials from office. The House of Representatives has the power to impeach federal officials, including the president. The executive branch would be led by a president, elected by an electoral college, who would be vested with the power to execute, enforce, or veto federal laws, appoint federal officers, grant pardons, and act as the primary role in all matters relating to foreign policy. As the commander-in-chief, it was also the role of the president to lead the military forces of the United States at the direction of Congress. The third branch, the judicial branch, would consist of a Supreme Court, appointed by the president and approved by the Congress. The Supreme Court is responsible for the interpretation of the laws passed by Congress and acts as the final ruling on matters of legality. In a later Supreme Court case, Marbury v. Madison, 1803, the Supreme Court added the determination of which laws of Congress are unconstitutional. While this check was not in the original Constitution, it is an essential part of the function of the court. A government by the people, for the people. It was the first time any nation's constitution had included the people as instrumental in the establishment and validity of the government. The Constitution was drafted in September 1787 and distributed to the Congress of the Confederation. Instead of the amendments to the articles they had expected, the Constitution offered an entirely new form of government. Immediate debate began as the Constitution